Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So I had a couple of topics that I wanted to cover today, but this one felt more in alignment. So this past weekend, my oldest daughter and I flew to Florida for our best friend's sweet 16th birthday party. My best friend's daughter's sweet 16th birthday party. And what was interesting was when I got there in the midst of the beginning of a shitstorm, right? Where it's like, why do all of the things that go wrong, like in multiples? And what was interesting was I could see my friend just kind of stewing over this whole thing. And I am somebody who understands the desire to stew and wallow. However, I didn't want that to be the tone for the weekend. And so we have a really great relationship with our friends, and I called them out on it. And I was like, listen, you've got 5 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to bitch and complain about this. And then we're going to go back to having a great time together. And he just walked away from me. He was like, what do you mean I get 5 minutes? And I was like, no, like 5 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to be really upset about this. And then realize that you can't change the fact that it happened. And you don't have to worry about making a plan about it today. And it can be, thought of tomorrow, you can enjoy the moment kind of a thing. And what was funny was it just kind of set the tone for the weekend. And I was reflecting on it today because I was actually in a networking event this morning. And we were talking about, we were just kind of doing some self-reflection stuff. And I thought to myself, am I somebody who just kind of bulldozes over the bad news to get straight to the good stuff? Or do I actually give myself the time to recognize the bad news and then choose to go towards the good news anyways? And as I was reflecting on it, I thought, you know what? It is absolutely a decision. I don't recall the specific day, time, or place in which I made this decision, but it is a decision for me to see the glass half full almost all the time. It is very rare. Now, sometimes I can get in seasons where I am a glass half empty kind of a person. But I prefer to see the glass half full. I don't love to wallow in the negative and the Nelly and all the downtrodden kind of things. And it's not because it's not a part of my life. It shows up. And I just don't hang out in it as long as other people. I don't want to be there, but it's not that I don't acknowledge it. I see it, I feel it, and then I decide that I want to be in a different energy because I know that the solution for whatever the problem is not going to be found in this wallowing kind of energy. Because I've made decisions and choices from a wallowing energy, and they don't bring about the kind of resolution that I desire, right? And so, a prime example. Okay, so this past weekend, recently, okay, I decided that we were going to replace the skirt of our deck, and we put this deck in off the back of our house about 10 years ago. And we used cedar fence pickets to do this kind of skirt underneath the deck to keep things out from underneath the deck, but also it just looked really nice. It was very aesthetically pleasing. And I noticed towards the fall that some of those pieces had started to rot away. And so about a month ago, I said to my husband, hey, let's just replace the skirt. So we went to Home Depot, we got all of the cedar pickets to replace the skirt, and we started pulling off the old skirt and found that the support of the deck was actually quite rotted. And I didn't want to look at the whole thing. I was like, let's just leave it, because we had only planned on doing the skirt today. Let's just leave it, not get into all of it. We can do that at another time, right? Like, we don't have to do it today. And my husband said, let me just see. Well, we all know what let me just see means, right? And so he started pulling off more and more and more of the deck boards and found more and more and more rotted wood. And so then last weekend, he decided to fully demo the deck. We had only demoed half of it up to that point. So he decided to fully demo the deck, and as he was demoing the deck, we found an extensive amount of water damage off of the master bathroom rather, where a pipe had been leaking for years. Legitimately years. It had been leaking. The subfloor was rotted out, not entirely, but pretty well destroyed, as well as some support stuff. And he sent me these pictures over the weekend, and I was like, oh God. Does this mean that we have to do a full bathroom remodel? And he was like, I don't know. And so we thought, okay, let's call the insurance company, see if the insurance company can cover this damage, because it was a sudden discovery of the water damage. Well, it turns out insurance companies have very fine lettering, very fine words, where it doesn't cover a sudden discovery, it covers a sudden incident or an accident. So like a pipe burst, not long-term water damage. And you're like, great, thanks a lot, helpful, right? And so as I'm speaking to the insurance person, I really wanted to absolutely lose my mind on this person, because I was so frustrated at the idea that I've been paying this homeowner's insurance policy for decades, and it's not going to help me cover a cost of something that was very unexpected. And so I get off the phone, I cry for a few minutes, and then I pull myself together, because I was like, you know what, I'm really frustrated. I know it's not this person's fault. And I kept saying it to that person. I was like, I know it is not your fault, but this is incredibly frustrating as a homeowner. And he did an okay job of sympathizing with me. I wouldn't say it was the greatest, because quite frankly, I didn't want someone to sympathize with me, right? But it could have been real bad. And I was looking on like the super sunny side of this thing, where I was like, oh, the insurance company is going to cover it. They're going to send us just this really great big check, and it's going to cover, redoing the whole deck and then demoing the bathroom and all the things, right? Like I was like the glass is overflowing kind of a look, right? And when it didn't even get close to that, I felt myself like start to dip and panic. And I felt it it didn't take me very long to feel it, but I felt it for probably about 90 seconds. And I was like, okay, well, it has to be fixed. Fortunately, we're in a place where we can financially fix this out of pocket. Is it ideal? No, absolutely not ideal. But me panicking over this situation is actually not going to get us where we want to go. And so my husband brought over a friend that works extensively in construction and renovations, and helped him on it, walked him through it, right? They're working on it right now, actually. And the glass is half full, right? I could have spiraled, which would have probably caused my husband to spiral, which would have set us into panic, which would have set us into sledgehammering our entire bathroom without actually doing a little bit of research and finding out what was happening, right? And I could have absolutely gone there. There's a part of me that wanted to go there, for sure. But I don't love living in that space where it's like everything that could go wrong does go wrong, and that's what I expect, right? Like, I don't expect everything to go perfectly, but I do expect everything to work out for my benefit. Now, sometimes that's really glamorous and great, and like amazing things come at me, and other times it's these lessons that are learned kind of the harder way. But I know beyond a shadow of doubt that everything will work out for me. So yes, call in a friend, working on that right now. Do I have a back deck right now? No, but at least you can't see through my bathroom floor to the bottom of the house, right? And yeah, maybe it's this pie in the sky, positive ray of sunshine, or like non-realistic approach, but I think it's rooted in realism. if I'm being honest about this, because yeah, I could absolutely lose my mind. And I could absolutely panic and spiral. I've been there, done that, lived it long enough that I don't want to hang out in that space any longer than necessary, but I'm also not bulldozing through my emotions and not realizing that there is a shitstorm that's happening. And I have decided that regardless of what comes at me, it's going to benefit me in one way, shape, or form. And maybe I don't know right now if that's going to benefit me. You know, it might be 5 years from now before I realize how this situation benefits me. But I always choose to see a situation as, how am I growing? How am I learning? How is this benefiting me? Knowing that I don't have to know exactly all of those things right now, but how I respond to that situation says way more about my character than anything else. And that's the thing, right? I get to choose how I respond to these situations as much as I want, because I've lived there, to whine and complain and cry about all the things. I get to choose how I respond to these situations. And that is incredibly powerful when you realize that you actually decide how you're responding to something instead of reacting. I talk about this all the time. You get to choose how you respond to a situation. You can react, or you can slow down and respond in a way in which you want to respond. How do you want this situation to go in advance of the situation? Right? I've talked about this before, where you watch a movie and it's like this incredibly emotionally intense scene, and the main character just manages to say all of the right things, and you're like, God, why can't I do that in the heat of a moment? Well, you can't do that in the heat of a moment because all of those lines have been rehearsed over and over and over and over and over again, that character doesn't even need to think about what's coming out of their mouth. All they have to do is feel the emotion. And when emotions are high, our thinking and our intelligence is actually quite low. And when our intelligence is high, our emotions are quite low. And so it's about finding this dance between the two, where you're not ignoring your emotions and you're not paying attention, you're not paying attention to the logic, right? Because both of those are incredibly powerful. And when you can use them together, it's like a superpower, right? Where I know I can be really, really upset and annoyed, and I probably only need a few minutes to process that, and then I'm going to come back and we'll have an intelligent conversation. But I'm probably going to look at you and be like, that really just pissed me off. I don't know why. Let me sit with it for a second and then come back, right? So I say all of that to let you know that things can work out for you. You are either the victim or the victor of your circumstances, and I always choose to be the victor. So I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will make sure to share reno pictures as we get my deck back put back together. I can say that. So I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.